a lot of people think that in an equal society everyone is the same. Is everyone the same in Sweden? Is that?
I don't know, do you think so? Well, my name is Kasja Borgnas and I'm a Swedish Social Democrat. At the moment I'm running for Parliament in the upcoming election on September 19th. Life in Sweden is not harsh, brutal and short, but it's an easy place to live. In the earlier decades, like 40s, 50s, 60s, as in many parts of Europe and the United States, it was important to increase equality because people wanted stability after the wars. For the last 20 years, income equality hasn't been so important, or as important as it should have been.
And in your opinion, what are the benefits to people of living in a more equal society?
On a macro level, of course, it's in a more equal society you get less crime, people are healthier, people are not so afraid of their future, you share the risks in the society. But also, just being, like, growing up in a more equal society means that you don't have to have to envy the very rich so much, and you don't have to be afraid of the poverty as much as you do in other countries. You don't have to be so afraid. I think that's the greatest for the individual. That's the greatest benefit of living in a more equal society.
And in your opinion, are there any downsides to living in a country that has sort of much greater equality?
People would say, or they said in the 80s, that the bureaucracy of the state, the redistributing state, was a big problem, and it was a big problem. I think so. In general, if I got to choose, I would much rather choose to have stable institutions that you can rely on, and a more equal society, rather than you just having to get by on your own.
How does that sort of balance work out in Sweden between your rights as an individual and your responsibilities to other people?
Well, I mean, in all the kind of international ranking lists, Sweden comes as in the top of being a country where people have liberal ideals, kind of a lot of freedom of choice when it comes to sexuality. Well, it is a liberal country with very liberal ideals. So the kind of socialist or social democratic or welfare agenda doesn't go contrary to the liberal agenda, allowing people to be whatever they want to be. Rather, they kind of go together.
Obviously, there's an election coming up shortly. What happened, for people that don't know, what happened in 2006? Suddenly
we had a right-wing government. We hadn't had that since 1994. And why that happened, people were tired of, they thought social democracy was old-fashioned, and they wanted something new. It was not so much that people rejected equality and the welfare state, but rather that they were just tired. 2006 represented the end of some kind of Swedish utopia. Would you agree with that? I'd say that if the right-wing government wins this election as well, on September 19th, then the election of 2006 will be that kind of breaking point. Since about 3 years, there has been a shift, so that the young people are actually more in favor of the red-green government. That young people realize that there is a climate change and there has been an economic collapse that actually mean things to how you perceive the world, or perceive the market, or perceive the importance of the state. The phrase "big society," what's your idea behind what a big society would look like? It's important that people take care of each other, that we do care of each other, but it's important that we don't only care about those who are similar to us, or those who look like us, or those who we choose to care about. It's important that even those who has no friends or no family, or maybe are not a member of a community, that they also do get the assistance and the help that they need. So one thing that Sweden is said to have a lot of is very high levels of trust between people. Could you explain why you think that is? You trust people that you're similar to. When you have low income differences, you are more similar to people in a society than when you have very huge income differences. So I think income equality in itself creates trust, and then also trust creates an understanding for the need and the importance of income equality.
In the UK, we're currently starting to introduce the concept of free schools, whereby local parents and organisations can actually take over the running or set up their own school. And believe that's happened in Sweden already. What lessons can the UK learn?
I mean, the schools are so important. That's the first institution that the child meets when he or she gets out of the family. And that's, if it's very segregated, if the schooling system is very segregated, that child is going to feel immediately where in the schooling system he or she is placed. And it's going to affect them for their entire lives. So I would say, I mean, for Britain, I would say, if you can, I mean, don't let go of the schools. If you want a more equal society and more equal opportunities for all, then don't let go of the schools.
In the UK, we tend to separate social issues from environmental issues quite a lot. Is it different in Sweden?
I mean, the Green Party, the Social Democratic Party and the Left Party of Sweden are cooperating now to form a common government. And I think that's very important, because if you separate these issues from the social issues from the environmental issues, you will never really get into the difficulties of, you know, consumerism and people trying to consume and buy more and more things because they want to compete with each other. But I think you have to deal with both equality and redistribution, as well as environmental change at the same time.
Is life boring in Sweden?
No, life is not boring. And also Sweden ranks like among the highest countries when it comes to entrepreneurship. We always have, if you look at the international ranking system, we come like third or fourth when it comes to a country where it's good to put up your own business. So it's an idea that people have, but it's not true. And people who live in Sweden, they feel that it's not true. It's not boring to live here. No.
Great.
Yeah.